There are no retcons within Cyberpunk 2077. Hear me out, I'm not narcissistic like Johnny Silverhand. Rather, I have both approving confirmation from Mike Pondsmith and a story directly from Cyberpunk Red, along with explanations and analysis to prove it. Recently, I created a video covering the topic of Silverhand's memories within Cyberpunk 2077 being corrupted and untrustworthy as sources of information. Personally recommend going and watching that video on his memories before this, as it contains a lot of Cyberpunk 2020 and Red lore in relation to his memories in the Arasaka HQ bombing that will help to bridge the concepts I will go over. Currently, there's a misconception that I've seen a lot in the community, which I quickly want to clear up. Sometime before the release of 2077, there's an interview with the creator of the Cyberpunk universe being misinterpreted. This misinterpretation basically stated that 2077 was a separate timeline from the tabletop RPGs Cyberpunk Red and Cyberpunk 2020. This was actually cleared up by Mike Pondsmith himself 3 years ago on his official Reddit account going by the name of The Real Max Mike. The full post goes like this. There's still an incorrect interview floating around the interwebs that state that Cyberpunk 2077 and Cyberpunk 2020 are separate timelines. To clear this up, I am posting right here and now that the timeline is unified, with the path moving from Cyberpunk 2013 through Cyberpunk 2020, then through Cyberpunk Red, and up to Cyberpunk 2077. Lord knows we spent enough time hashing the details out over the past 6 months. Expect more on this later. Seeing as he made this statement after writing Cyberpunk Red to bridge into 2077, I have no doubt that 2077 is the same timeline. Despite being the same timeline, however, this of course doesn't erase the chances of there being retcons to the official story. I personally believe, though, that the majority of details that could be seen as retcons in Silverhand's flashbacks can actually be explained in lore and upcoming DLC for 2077, which I covered in my previous video. However, I want to go over what has been commonly seen as retcons that can be explained by both 2077 and a story directly pulled from the tabletops named Black Dog. Black Dog is a story featured in Cyberpunk Red. Taking place in 2038, the story revolves around a group of edgerunners who are tasked with transporting a mysterious crate from Night City to Los Alamos in New Mexico. In the meantime, they are also looking for a never-heard samurai song and information to unveil the mysteries of the Arasaka HQ incident. The specific group of edgerunners are directly tasked by Samantha Stevens to transport a mysterious crate to New Mexico, to be taken possession of by her friend Angel, who shares a love for Johnny Silverhand. As we know from the previous video, Silverhand's body was stored in a new crate in order to be preserved by Samantha Stevens and Angel. Black Dog heavily implies that this is Silverhand's crate. In return for transportation of the crate, the edgerunners then come into possession of Silverhand's unreleased song, Black Dog, hence the title. Once the crate was delivered, Angel says a final goodbye to Samantha and continues on to open the crate. Pulling directly from the story, she looks tenderly down at the dark, frozen face behind his masking curtain of ice. "Hello, my love," she says. I find this story extremely essential to understand when it comes to Silverhand's memories. Not only does it set up the possibility of Silverhand's body being an important part of a future DLC, Silverhand's body is the only thing we do not legitimately see in the 2077 Chip-in questline. The most compelling piece of evidence to prove that this story is canon to 2077 is the fact that on the in-game radio, we can hear Silverhand's previously unreleased song being played, confirming that these edgerunners succeeded in their mission to uncover Samurai's unreleased song, Black Dog. Seeing as Black Dog takes place in 2038, there is a large gap in the history of Cyberpunk in which several altercations could occur. What I believe to take place after Black Dog is the retrieval of Silverhand's assets by Atom Smasher and the chip in Silverhand's preserved body being taken to produce the biochip, as it contains the original Soul Killer data produced by Alt. In 2077, during the Chip-in questline, You'll track down Silverhand's previous possessions on the Yubanik under the ownership of Atom Smasher, and later find his grave in the Badlands oil fields. Note that a body or even a technical grave is never seen. During the Yubanik portion of the mission, you can interrogate Grayson to learn more about Atom Smasher and Silverhand. This comes with essential dialogue. Grayson states, "You just want to hear how he died? Soaked in his own piss, neurons scorched by Soul Killer?" And that Smasher was told by Saburo Arasaka to get rid of the body and all sundries. Not only do these statements not contradict the previous story, as they have no specific time attached to them, they directly contradict Silverhand's memories. In Cyberpunk Red, Silverhand is killed by Smasher and Soul Killered by Spider Murphy in his final moments, only later to be recovered by Samantha Stevens. However, in the 2077 memories, Atom Smasher is not present to see Silverhand's death, meaning the only way for him to legitimately see Silverhand piss himself and be fried by Soul Killer would be during the story told by Cyberpunk Red. This makes me honestly believe that at some point after the Black Dog story takes place, most likely after the death of Samantha Stevens, Smasher comes into possession of Johnny's belongings. While the story can get rather complicated when it comes to Silverhand's altered memories, there is no doubt in my mind that these aren't retcons. Nearly every detail can be traced and explained throughout the Cyberpunk Red core book and 2077. Silverhand was always meant to be mortally wounded by Smasher, then Soul Killered during his final moments. It is the how and when that truly matters in this context. He is then later recovered by Samantha, his body transported out of Night City, along with his possessions being taken by Smasher after Samantha's untimely death. We are never given specific time-related details for when Smasher comes into possession of Silverhand's belongings, which leave a good enough time gap to validate these happenings. We can infer as well that at some point during this time period, Arasaka managed to, at the least, steal Silverhand's Soul Killer chip that was planted by Murphy, though we can't currently be sure of what happened to his body. No matter what, Pondsmith has officially stated that the timelines between the tabletops and 2077 are the same. It's just up to all of us to piece it together. We need to be able to learn from each other and continue searching rather than throwing it all to the wind. Let me know what you all think about the information I've provided and if you agree with my reasoning and the timeline. Next video will be my official video on a Silverhand timeline that I've put together in order to organize every event into a much more digestible video. Have a great day, and thanks for the support, guys.